Hello and welcome to this Tuesday edition of The World Report with me, Arjun Samar Mahendran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world. Dozens of MPs in Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party have now agreed that the Canadian Prime Minister needs to go. He must abandon his post. Now, this comes after last week's embarrassing resignation of his deputy. It signals that Trudeau has completely lost support from once crucial loyalists. Several Canadian media outlets, including the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and the Toronto Star, reported over the weekend that 51 of Ontario's Liberal MPs met virtually and agreed collectively that Trudeau's time in office has expired. There are a total of 75 Liberal MPs in the province that is the country's most populous and represents where most of the party's support lies. Now, this indicates the core of Liberals have abandoned Justin Trudeau. Israel's defense minister has confirmed that the IDF assassinated former Hamas political chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran earlier this year. He went on to warn that the military would also decapitate the leadership of Yemen's Houthi rebels. Now, his remarks mark the first public acknowledgement that Israel was behind the killing in late July of Haniyeh in the Iranian capital. Israel was widely believed to be behind the blast, and leaders have previously hinted at its involvement. Iran and Hamas have had blamed it for the Hamas political leader's death.
הבסנו את החמאס, ניצחנו את החיזבאללה, עברנו את מערכות ההגנה באיראן ופגענו במערכי הייצור, מוטטנו את משטר אסד בסוריה, הכינו קשות בציר הרשע, ואנחנו נכה קשות גם בארגון הטרור החותי שנשאר עומד אחרון ויורה על ישראל. נפגע בתשתיות אסטרטגיות שלו ונערוף את ראש מנהיגיו, בדיוק כמו שעשינו להנייה, סינואר ונסראללה בטהרן, עזה ובלבנון, נעשה בחודדה ובצנע.
According to reports, gaps between Israel and Hamas over a possible Gaza ceasefire have narrowed, though crucial differences are yet to be resolved. A fresh bid by mediators, Egypt, Qatar and the United States to end the fighting and release Israeli and foreign hostages has gained momentum this month, though no breakthrough has yet been reported. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday said progress has been made in hostage negotiations with Hamas in Gaza, but that he did not know how much longer it would take to see the results. A Kremlin spokesperson has said that the British-born wife of deposed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is not seeking a divorce. Reports in Turkish media had suggested Asma al-Assad wanted to end her marriage and leave Russia, where she and her husband were granted asylum after a rebel coalition overthrew the former president's regime and took control of Damascus. Asked about reports in a news conference hall, Dmitry Peskov said, no, they do not correspond to reality. He also denied reports that Assad has been confined to Moscow and that his property and assets had been frozen. Germany searched on Monday for answers on possible security lapses after a man drove his car into a Christmas market, killing at least 5 people and casting a renewed spotlight on security and immigration ahead of a snap election. Now, the possible motive of the arrested suspect, a 50-year-old psychiatrist from Saudi Arabia with a history of anti-Semitic Israeli rhetoric and a sympathy for the far-right Alternative for Germany party, remains unknown. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that more than 3,000 North Korean soldiers have been either killed or wounded in Russia's Kursk region. The Ukrainian president has also warned that Pyongyang could send more personnel and equipment for Moscow's army and criticized the world leaders for doing quote-unquote almost nothing to counteract Russia's military cooperation with the North. There are risks of North Korea sending additional troops and military equipment to the Russian army, Zelensky said on Monday. South Korea's military, meanwhile, also said on Monday that it has detected signs of North Korea preparing to send more troops and weapons, including suicide drones, to Russia.
На Курщині є вже більше 3000 поранених та вбитих північно-корейських солдатів. Росія їх просто утилізує у штурмах. Чому корейці повинні воювати за Путіна? Жодна нормальна людина на землі не відповість. І, на жаль, світ майже нічого не робить, щоб протидіяти злочинній колаборації Росії та Північної Кореї.
External Affairs Minister S. Shankar will be in the US from the 24th till the 29th of December, marking the first high-level engagement between New Delhi and Washington following Donald Trump's presidential election victory. According to the Ministry of External Affairs, Dr. Shankar will hold discussions with counterparts on vital bilateral, regional and global matters. He is also scheduled to chair a conference of India's consul generals in the US. A US judge has delayed a trial for the suspect in the second assassination attempt of President-elect Donald Trump until September 2025. Now, this is according to a court order. Lawyers for the suspect, Ryan Ruth, sought a delay of the scheduled Feb 10 trial date, citing the large volume of evidence in the case. Florida-based US District Judge Aileen Cannon, however, agreed to a delay but called the defense request for a postponement until December 2025 excessive. Cannon scheduled the case to go before a jury beginning September 8, 2025. A devastating official report has concluded that former Republican congressman and Trump's first pick for Attorney General, Matt Gaetz, paid over $90,000 for sex, including with a minor, and handed out illicit drug party favors. The House of Ethics Committee investigation has found that Gaetz made the payments to women for sex while he was a member of Congress. The bipartisan report says from 2017 to 2020, Representative Gaetz made tens of thousands of dollars in payments to women that the committee determined were likely in connection with sexual activity and/or drug use. The report also found substantial evidence that the Republican used illegal drugs, including cocaine and ecstasy. In a failed bid to prevent the report's release, Gaetz filed a last-minute lawsuit against the ethics panel, saying damage to his reputation and professional standing would be severe and irreversible. Luigi Mangione, the suspect accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, has pleaded not guilty to New York State murder and terrorism charges. Now, the 26-year-old appeared in court on to be arraigned on 11 state criminal counts, including murder, a crime of terrorism. As well as the state-level charges, he is also accused of federal stalking and murder offenses that could lead to a death penalty sentence. The Biden administration has launched a new probe into legacy Chinese semiconductors that may go into everything from cars to household goods and even defense systems. Now, according to a White House statement, China routinely engages in non-market policies and practices as well as industrial targeting of the chip industry, which allows Chinese firms to significantly harm competition and create dangerous supply chain dependencies in foundational semiconductors. The so-called Section 301 investigation will look into China's acts, policies, and practices on the production of silicon carbide substrates or other wafers used as inputs onto semiconductor fabrication. The new French government formed under François Bayrou has named Eric Lombard as its finance minister. Lombard currently works at French state bank CDC. The new finance minister's leadership will face close scrutiny from markets as France is reeling from months of political turmoil, facing mounting pressure to cut its swollen deficits. Former US President Bill Clinton has been admitted Monday to Georgetown University Medical Center in Washington after developing a fever. Clinton's deputy chief of staff has issued a statement saying that the 78-year-old was hospitalized in the afternoon for testing and observation. She added that he remains in good spirits and deeply appreciates the excellent care he's receiving. Now Clinton, a Democrat who served 2 terms as president from January 1993 until January 2001, addressed the Democratic National Convention in Chicago this summer. He also campaigned ahead of November's election for the unsuccessful White House bid of Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris. Starbucks workers have expanded their strike to 4 more U.S. cities, including New York. The union representing over 10,000 baristas said late on Saturday. Now, the 5-day strike, which began on Friday and initially closed Starbucks cafes in Los Angeles, Chicago, and Seattle, has added locations in New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, and St. Louis. Workers United said in a statement it did not specify what New Jersey city the walkout was occurring in. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump apparently plans to pull the country out of World Health Organization on day 1. As per reports, health experts in the U.S. say they had been warned by members of Trump's transition team of the decision, adding that a withdrawal would have catastrophic impacts on global health. A 33-year-old Guatemalan citizen was charged with murder and arson on Monday after allegedly lighting a woman on fire and watching her burn to death on a New York City subway train over the weekend. Sebastian Zapata was arrested about 6 hours after police say he used a lighter to ignite the clothes of a woman who appeared to be dozing on a stationary F train at the Coney Island Stillwell Avenue subway station in New York's Brooklyn. Mozambique's highest court has upheld the governing party's win in the October presidential elections following weeks of opposition protests in which more than 100 people have lost their lives. Now, the court called the Constitution Council said irregularities in the election did not substantially influence the results and that Daniel Chapo with the governing party Frelimo won with 65.17% of the vote. Opposition politician Vanessa Mondlane had 24.29%. The court revised its initial results that said Chapo received 70% of the votes.